Outdoor play, it's an absolute key and fundamental element with a combination, and I think for young people it's about variety. The one thing I've learned from trying to put everything together that we have now over the past decade, it's about offering a wide variety of differentiated opportunities to different kids from different backgrounds, because one child that will love football will not like free running, who will not be involved in rugby, who might then want to get involved in aerobics. And it's been great for me to see today, there's actually people in the room here today who've taught me a lot of what I know about how you try and structure something constructively. And it's been absolutely, I think, key for all of us who are involved in developing programs to actually say, right, if you want to try and structure a wide and varied offering, you have to make spaces that are safe, access to facilities. I mean, I got married from that picture in New York. I got married about 100 yards away, Central Park, because it's been a big part of myself, and I colloquially refer to my darling wife as the War Office, but it's a huge part of our life. And why? Because it was something that is just such a great place to be. People walk out, you find some absolute nutters there. You find some, it's a great experience to just see people being active, whether that's skateboarding, inline skating, running, whatever it might be. That sort of exposure for young people is absolutely critical in a safe environment. And the most key thing with this is outdoor space, indoor space, whatever it is, as long as you have the right investment into how it's structured and how it's put together, then the sky's genuinely the limit with what you can actually achieve with the simplest of spaces. With the nice guidelines that I've been involved in putting together, I was one of the ones at the forefront. We made the Daily Mail about talking about actually using office car parks for kids to be active in the evening. The ball's going to go through the window and everything else that went with it. But why not? If you can do it and do it safely, it's a great opportunity.
Great. Paul Kelly, you've got big car parks.
And 24-hour stores, unfortunately. But I do entirely agree with you. I think one of the things that I've noticed, probably in the last year, in terms of requests coming through to the foundation, has been for outdoor play areas, coming from communities saying we just don't have anywhere. And I think one of the things that we've been sort of looping back around with local authorities and communities is saying, let's make sure we're not moving a problem from one area to another. What's the structure for making sure it's safe, it's secure, it's not going to become a ghetto? And yeah, we'll put money in because it's important for community cohesion. But I think this whole point is about how do you make sure it's safe, it's structured and secure, and it doesn't become the ghetto.
Mike, you wanted to come in.
Yeah, just, I mean, Sport England's remit is, as its name suggests, sport, but a lot of the work which we have done with the Youth Sport Trust in and around schools in the 5-hour offer, particularly at Key Stage 1, so reception, the early years, has been about play, using playtime, lunchtime in a structured way. And I think we do have to see play, just as we see physical activity as a stepping stone into sport. It can also be a stepping stone when you get at the other end of the age range, back out of sport into keeping fit. So I really do think that there is a role for sport, and you kind of for play, sorry, which you kind of come in and out of.
Ken, we were getting very excited when I was on the sofa outside, because in Islington, where I live in the People's Republic, we have park rangers, and I got really excited. I said, I'd mention those, but then Ken poo-pooed me with his research.
No, right. No, play is really important for kids, particularly up to about 11, and then they don't like to call it play because that's what little kids do. They call it hanging out or something like that. But it's really important. Those kids who are active, I'm talking about primary school kids mainly, are the ones who play out a lot. Formal sport really is a very small percentage of what they do, and most of it happens, and we know this because we measure it through accelerometers. So we've got minute-by-minute readouts of what they do, and those who walk to school and walk back, particularly those who walk back, are really active on the way back. They play out on the way back, and they play out in the evening. And so if you're really interested in obesity and the role that physical activity plays in obesity prevention, then active play has got to be absolutely critical. It's got to be the focus, because that's where most of the energy expenditure comes from throughout the day. So we have to find opportunities for kids to play out. And they don't like to do it with adults interfering, as I think Mike suggested as well. They don't like adults to they actually, we've run focus groups and they tell us, no, I need to play out on my own. I need to learn how to take risks. This is kids telling us. I need to get away from grown-ups. I need to learn who's the boss round here. So they learn the pecking order on the streets and so on. So there's all that natural learning that goes on out there that's unstructured and not interfered with by adults. Climbing trees, a lot of physical skills, a lot of creative skills are learnt there, and a lot of social skills. So actually adults interfere with that and get in the way. And that's really being reduced a lot over recent years because of fear of parents letting their kids go out. And so that's where it's got to be tackled. Some kids are playing. It's not, the story is not true that kids are not playing out any longer, but it's becoming a working class kind of council estate thing. Middle class kids tend to go to formal settings or they play out in the garden. So, I mean, it's a really important societal change that's gone on, and I think we need to really focus on that.
Paul Sashley wants to
I mean, I would agree with what everyone said. However, what we found is, particularly in the under fives, parents have lost the skill to play with their children. And just like healthy eating starts young, so does learning how to play and engage with your child. The TV has become the babysitter. We have kids as young as 3 who are put in front of the TV for up to 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours more on the weekend, because their parents didn't play with them when they were young. And so what we do is we actually teach parents how to engage and how to play with their kids. It's the most simple thing, but so effective. And I've seen the expression on a parent's face when they've actually learned for the first time how to play with their kid and how much closer that can bring them. So I think I agree with you for the older kids, but I think if we don't teach parents, it's a parenting skill, playing. If we don't teach parents and we don't have the facilities available, then kids just won't grow up being active.
Great.
And they won't raise their own children to be active and to play with their own kids. Yeah. So it's an intergenerational thing as well.
Right, next question, and this will be to Mike first and Jonathan second. Gender differences in sport. Why aren't girls and boys offered the same access to activities, for example, football? And that's from, I just cannot read today, but Tejal Lovelock from Southwark PCT.
Okay. I think it's because we still have we have outdated views. We have stereotypical views of what, all too often, of what boys and girls can do. I think it picks up on what Ken was saying. Adults often interfere in what is offered to young people, and I'd like to think through programmes, and I'm not just harking back to Sport Unlimited, but where you start by talking to youngsters, you can begin to address some of those inequalities. I think it's for organisations like mine to challenge national governing bodies to think about boys and girls, women and men. For example, some of our bigger sports, rugby union is a good example. The money which we invest doesn't actually go into the male game; it goes into the female game. So development there. I think it's for organisations like mine to be absolutely clear that those sorts of stereotypes are wrong and need to be challenged.
Yeah, completely agree, and it's 100% about education. What I've seen, and I have to say in our facilities, that we have an equal mix of members, girls, boys, and that's the world over. We're actually finding that the data that's coming out of the facilities overseas is exactly, really predominantly a 50-50 mix, and it's about how you essentially educate kids and talk them through it. There's nothing that puts a smile on my face more than showing a group of lads, an under-16 Ajax boys group doing aerobics, and then watching them transfer those skills onto the football field. And that's a big part of then what we put together with our programming, because then everyone takes that jump in their mind, and kids take that jump and actually say, well, this is something that's very, very cool to do. And actually, ironically, the best performers on our dance mats and those sorts of products are lads. Because then they actually see, oh, right, okay, so they're the quickest, etc., etc. But then what's the whole socialisation? Well, who likes to go on them more? The girls. So what do the lads do? Stand and watch. So this is the whole process then about socialising young people into what actually works well for them.
And I remember when shows how old I am now, when I was way back in 1985, 86, 87, when I was teaching in Camp America. The interesting thing there is the girls are fantastic soccer players. Not saying they're not here now. I think I'm oh gosh, I'm going to dig a big hole here now, and I can see. But it just struck me when I was a student, when I was just a humble 22-year-old, just how good the girls were at soccer in 1982. You know, and there's no reason, you know, why the girls shouldn't be fantastic soccer players, and now they are. I'm still digging, aren't I? I can just sense it. Panel, help me out. Has anyone else got a view on this?